Welcome to the 14th interview from marketing-interview.com. We have Lee Gammeltoft as our guest today. She's Chief Marketing Officer at Netcompany. Netcompany is the fastest growing IT service company in Northern Europe. Welcome, Lee. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm doing really well. Summer is coming in Copenhagen, and I think everybody are very busy at the moment trying to get everything done before the industry holidays kicking in. So yeah, we're busy.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Lee, why did you decide to go into marketing, and how did all of it start?
I think all of it started as me being an entrepreneur. I opened my own company in Denmark, which was during a transformation of the media industry and the agency industry as well, working with more purpose-driven and content-driven marketing. And also working with a more innovative business model for the media company, whereas advertorials, partnerships, content partnerships were like brand new in Denmark. So we tried to work with that. And that brought me into the marketing industry because I was trying to persuade a lot of marketeers to create more purpose-driven campaigns and to drive a more modern marketing. I think just not just the campaigns, but the entire marketing push from the company should be more purpose-driven, and tried to persuade them doing that. So that was my way into marketing. That was actually selling to CMOs this idea I had as an entrepreneur.
Okay, I see. So what was your professional development been like? So from your school to the place where you're now?
It's actually been very sporadic. I've had no career plan whatsoever, but I've been at universities studying English and modern culture. And that is ages and ages ago. So I'm not really using it. I don't analyze a lot of Shakespeare anymore, but I did that in university. And then I started out working as a journalist, and I worked a lot with communications, became a TV journalist, a TV host, a radio host, a DJ. I've been working in the entire entertainment industry in Copenhagen and Denmark, and made a name for myself in that way. In that sense, I branded myself quite a bit. And that personal brand, I was using that as an entrepreneur, creating record labels, bars and restaurants. And then as the latest company I've started was that media and agency business I drove for 10 years before I exited it 2 years ago.
I see, I see. So that's a pretty interesting ride from bars to restaurants to a media company. What was the
Yeah.
company that you had the most fun in? Or what type
I
of business did you enjoy the most? I'm sorry.
I think my company, which was called Heartbeats, this the startup, the transformation and the startup of being innovative. That the first couple of years were really fun, hard work as well, of course. But I must say, going into corporate and going into IT and tech now has been a big, almost huge eye opener to me. That it's such a cool industry to be a part of. So I think now because my experience is kicking in, I'm having more fun now. It's not as I'm not searching as more. I have more answers. I think I have a more calm approach to doing the marketing campaigns and everything. I have a bit overview, and a good overview makes it a lot more fun, doesn't it?
That's true. That's true. So what has helped you to grow and develop the most?
I think it's been the fact that creating a company and having that sense of business and being responsible for driving the finances as well. So being creative, having to come up with the new ideas, create new partnerships, as well as selling and pitching, trying to pull in the budgets, hiring, firing, having that overview of the entire company. That really made me grow, because now I can dive into all the facets of the business. I know what the budgets and the finances should look like. I have that financial overview. I know the P&L. In the same sense, I'm very creative, and I can create the new partnerships and new sponsorships and everything like that. So I have the very creative and the very business-driven overview. And I think that is making my profile more interesting. That I'm not that, I'm not in a silo. I know a lot of different things, and my profile is it's weird. It's like a switch, the knives from Switzerland, where there's a Swiss knife. That's how I talk about myself.
And how does that help you in your current role as head of marketing in Netcompany?
I think it helps me a lot because it is pretty complex solutions and a pretty complex business we drive in Netcompany. We sell very, very complex IT solutions for governments and businesses throughout Europe and UK. And if I hadn't gotten that sense of go-to-market strategies and the finances and budgets, I think it would be quite a bit of an assignment going into a company with 7,800 people and having, the overview of how to drive the marketing, uh, throughout the different markets. And we're founded in Denmark and we're a lot of people here, but we're scaling throughout Europe now. So it's a different assignment to drive marketing in Denmark where everybody knows us and then trying to build a reputation in the other countries. So I think that overall business understanding that I've got really helps me for these complex solutions and complex businesses.
So how do you build a business from scratch, or not really from scratch, but if there is a new market that you want to go to, how what's the best strategy, or what has been the best strategy for you and Netcompany to do that?
A good strategy for us is we are pretty blessed that we have a lot of good cases to lean on, and we have been driving the IT. We've been driving the digital transformation in digital government in Denmark for quite a few years. So we've got some cases, and we've got that proof of concept and proof of product. So when I have to get some kind of brand awareness in a new market, I have that proof of concept to show. And of course, the digital marketing is very important here. LinkedIn is very important to me in my work. We can target all the industries we want to, and get our name out in that way. But another thing that is very important to us in terms of growing is getting the right stakeholders and relationships built. So the stakeholder management and trying to build the B2B relationships. That is actually, we run that quite a bit through events, through roundtables, and having that real life connection with potential clients is very valuable to us as well. So we have a very hardcore digital drive, and then also this, event, real life meeting, stakeholder management building. We have both of them going quite good in the new markets.
So how do you do these events? What are these events about, and how do you find the people you want to invite on the one hand side, and on the other hand side, hand side is German. On the other side, what are you discussing in these events, and yeah?
I think it depends on the market, and it depends on if we're going to the private industries or the public industries. I think a lot of the governments throughout Europe are looking into like a more digital transformation or modernization, because we know we need to optimize. AI is blasting through Europe right now, blasting through the world, and we need to be ready. And a lot of the old systems are legacy systems throughout the European government. So those need to be replaced. And it is a pretty vulnerable process to replace a tax system or something like that. So I think we have that knowledge. We've been doing it for so many years in Scandinavia. So they want to hear, how did the Danish government go about this assignment, and how did we support them? I think this is a very big subject. And of course, also real-time data and AI on the private level is important to us as well. We have a very big collaboration with Copenhagen Airport, and have been supporting them with real-time data solutions throughout the last couple of years. And this is huge throughout transportation, to collecting data real-time all the time. I think we have like 2 million data points coming in per minute at Copenhagen Airport, and our systems control that. So we can go to all markets and all industries and tell about that. And our very good clients and partners will go with us and tell us about why these solutions that we have been building and this software that we are building, why does it work and why has it been important for their digital transformation. So I think we're talking about, the modernization and transformation throughout all industries, on private and public.
I understand. So that's what the events are about. You talk about use cases, and you bring your partners that you did the use cases with you. And about it. You don't have any other guests coming in that are talking about others.
It depends. It depends on the event type. I think we do a lot of, like everybody else, advisory boards and collaborations with embassies and stuff like that. The most important thing is we need to be aware. I think all our competitors and partners are aware of the same thing, that we need to get collectively around the table and figure out solutions for Europe. Because what is our purpose is we need to create a strong Europe that stands alone, and we need to build a strong Europe on responsible digitization, and we need to have those. We have to build and support this stronger Europe to stand up against China, Russia, the United States, and the Middle East. And they have a lot of innovation coming. They are putting a lot of money in it. So I think we all need to stand together throughout Europe. So it's not that we are closing ourselves around Netcompany. We are inviting everybody in as well.
Wow. Okay. So you said you are also inviting competitors. Is that right?
Yeah, sometimes but we do also collaborate with competitors. We just won a very big contract in the UK for HMRC, which is UK tax. And this is something that we have Accenture in there in that contract as well. Capgemini, I think some of the very big competitors. So I think we realize that we are good at something and some solutions, and Accenture have some other solutions that they can bring to the table. And when we're talking about these hugely complex IT solutions, we need to create the best solution, don't we? And sometimes that is in a partnership.
Definitely. So how are you currently training yourself and your team when it comes to marketing, right?
Oh God, we have honestly been so busy the last 1.5 years. I started at Netcompany as the CCMO January 23. And we have been running a huge transformation, changed the CVI and the brand strategy, the communication marketing strategy, everything was changed. So we are just getting that up and running. And I've been hiring quite a lot of new people, and new FTEs have been coming in who knows about motion graphic and AI and, all that. And I think that rubs off. The entire team is all the time, having talks about how we can differ from the others out there. How can we use AI? How can we use motion graphic? How can we use all these digital tools out there? And a lot of the people attend like morning meetings at agencies or briefs about the newest technologies and stuff. So I think being a technology in the technology industry, we have all that, digital information just hitting us all the time. And we take our time to do that. In terms of my growth as a marketeer, I'm actually doing some different stuff. I'm reading quite a bit in different media outlets about what's happening, trying to have some sort of overview on the AI train that is just blasting through us. And then I'm doing like board educations to get the even better knowledge on the finances and stuff like that. So I'm trying on all those different levels just to be better.
I see. Before, you also talked about LinkedIn, that it is a good channel for your company. Do you use social media to stay up to date? And if so, which social media channels do you prefer?
Yeah, personally, I use LinkedIn and Instagram quite a bit. Instagram is more for the creative. Sometimes some kind of inspiration can come from Instagram still, I think. Reddit is something we use for PR, intern com, stuff like that. I don't use Reddit on like private person. And then LinkedIn is huge to me as a person, but also for the company. So it's twofold. I use it for my personal branding and my career branding and for the company. I've left X. I think it's in Denmark, it's a bitchy platform. People on X, or formerly known as Twitter, I think it takes a lot of energy out of us. So we're not present there. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We never use TikTok. I personally think we should just prohibit. We shouldn't use TikTok, and we should actually make a law against TikTok in Europe like they did in China, and like they're talking about in the States. So think to mention two, it's Instagram and LinkedIn, the most important platforms.
So when it comes to your company, do you run paid ads as well on LinkedIn?
Yeah, we do quite a bit of targeting on LinkedIn. Yeah.
And how's that going for you? Because you said it's a very big, very good channel for you. So what type of ads are you promoting on LinkedIn?
Oh God, it's so it depends on the messaging and the narrative. Really, we have a lot of employee advocacy going on LinkedIn, getting the narrative out and having that sense of pride when the company succeeds. That the employees want to share the news as well, and that is very good for branding, of course. But I think LinkedIn is very good for targeting. It's very good for uh, putting some paid advertorials out targeted for specific industries. So they recognize that we are the market leader and we are definitely a leader on digital transformation and governmental transformation as well. So we're trying to get that narrative out there. We can do that in so many different ways. But LinkedIn is a powerful tool for us.
Okay. So do you get a lot of leads with LinkedIn, or is it more for brand awareness?
I think we drive both. I'm not. We send the leads to the sales team, the go-to-market teams, but I think we want that brand awareness to start off with. What I have to say is, in Denmark, we founded in Denmark 23 years ago, and everybody knows us here. But we have very immature markets throughout Europe where the brand awareness is very small. So, of course, the brand awareness in the other countries are very important to us because we can back up, the narrative about us having the experience in driving digital transformation, and it's a good way to make people aware throughout different markets that somebody out there are called Netcompany, and they have these solutions, and they've been working with this kind of transformation for a lot of years. I was working with Danish national radio a long time ago, and we had this telling. All the data showed that an ordinary person like you and I that listen to radio, we open the radio, well, we're driving a car, whatever. We have to hear the same number 37 times before we actually recognize it, because we are doing something else, and half of our brain is thinking about shopping groceries, and the other one is thinking about a meeting we should get ready for. So we have to listen to the same thing so many times. And I think it's the same with brand awareness. We need to nudge people so many times before they actually recognize that name. And maybe they recognize the name, but do they even know what we're doing? So it's just, it's always on targeting campaigns on LinkedIn. We just need to keep it going all the time. I think everybody can nod at that.
Definitely. What does your dream customer look like? So what type of industry is your dream customer, and what of position does he or she have? What is that
I
about?
think our dream customers, I think we have so many different customers throughout public and private industries. We are very big in digital government, and we think because it's a huge purpose to us to create responsible digitization throughout Europe. So we want to help the governments out there with this, transformation from legacy to new modern technology. And I think it's important that we do it as a European company, instead of having. I'm sorry, I don't have anything against the American companies, but I think it's very important that we need European solutions, and we need to stand very strong in Europe, that we can rely on our own solutions and that our data is actually protected in Europe. So I think that is the strongest USP for us, and it's a very strong purpose for us, that we need to create responsible digitalization throughout Europe and enhance the governments out there.
That's a good point. What advice would you give your child if he or she wanted to follow the same path as you and started from scratch?
Oh, get to know AI and all the tools that are out there. And I think the most important, I have 2 kids, and I'm telling them, you need to be good at math. If you're good at math, I think you'll succeed, because you need to understand numbers, and you need to understand finances and budgets and stuff like that in order to understand if you want to be an IT specialist, or if you want to get into a high level, like C-level marketing position. You need to be able to understand how finances work throughout a company. And if you combine that with creativity, then you will not be touched by AI. You can use AI to optimize and to, optimize time and resources, but you won't be your job won't be taken by AI because you can't take that like the Swiss knife. AI can't be that.
That's true. That's true. What steps does he or she need to take to become successful?
I think it's impossible to answer that because nobody knows what kind of world we're looking into.
That's
Everything
true.
is changing throughout the next 5 or 10 years. It's going to be a different. I think that all the industries are going to be affected. I think universities are going to be affected. I think the way we learn, the way we work, are going to be affected. So right now, it's useless to ask a kid that at 12, 13, 14, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because we don't even know if that job exists anymore. And a lot of new jobs are coming, and the industries are being affected so much throughout the next couple of years. I think just do good in school and be interested and be open and be curious and do good at math.
What insights do you wish you had when you started out?
In this position
Yes.
at Netcompany, um,
Or we can also
I
talk about entrepreneurship in general.
Yeah, I think that's oh, wow. I have a lot of different things I would have wished to know when I started my own companies. When I started in 2014, I started my company. I would have liked to know more about investor relationships. I would love to know more about what it's like bringing in investors and how much you give up as a owner and as a CEO. How difficult it is to give up on a company because you are not aligned on strategies with your investors. I think that's very very vulnerable to a lot of entrepreneurs, that they actually lose their companies because they give up power to investors, and they lose the urge of creating new strategies and new products because they are not aligned with that venture cap or whatever. So just be freaking wise about who you bring in and what kind of money you'd say yes to. If you accept money from an investor, be sure that it's the right one.
Would you take an investor on board in if you would do a new company, for example?
Yeah, but it would be different kinds of investors. Absolutely. Yeah, I would never go to the kind of investor I had in my company. That was an old school investor that actually killed innovation instead of support it. So it was actually the end of the company because I used the pull option and it made an exit, and they sort of killed the company. So it's almost not existing anymore.
What would you look for if you wanted to get a new investor into your company?
I think there's so many venture people out there that are actually having the support teams very organized and have a purpose throughout the venture. Um, so it's easier to find the right one if you go through. All right, so they invest in these industries, and their purpose is to. And does that align with my purpose? And can I use the backup team that they've got, all the support systems from shared services? And how does the other exits they've made throughout Europe or globally, what does it look like? Have they some former CEOs out there I can talk to just to get a reference? Have they been good investors? I think all of that, but I think I would definitely go with an investor again. Yeah, absolutely, but a different type.
I understand. I understand. Would you say it's difficult to find an investor out there?
It totally depends on your company, on your idea. For media businesses in Denmark, it's hopeless. The media industry is going down pretty fast. We are firing a lot of journalists throughout Denmark and throughout the Danish medias. And we have this public service supported media industry in Denmark. So it's very uneven how to make money. A lot of news are being pushed on a daily basis that is free and available to everybody. And if you want to have that paid media, how are we going to get people to pay for it if they can get it for free? So it's a difficult industry. So for that kind of industry, it's difficult. And I think in the creative business, it's difficult getting an investor. But when it comes to tech and IT, If you have a good idea, it's not difficult, no.
I understand. Is there a moment in your career that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, I think I have a lot. I tend to forget. The soon I'm over it, and I forget about it. But I think creating that uh, company, the media company that was actually first in Denmark, that was very innovative, and I proved that my new business models were actually kicking in and it worked, and we made money and we created a company that could actually stand on its own. That was a very proud moment to me. But I think what we're doing here at Netcompany is something that I'm proud of. We're actually standing out now. We have a very strong purpose as an IT company, and people can tell us apart from the others. And I think that's a transformation I've been driving and running with my team the last 18 months. And I'm very proud that people can actually tell that we are more human-centric, we're more purpose-driven. They can actually tell what we're working with, and they can put it into words, because we've been telling it in a very clear fashion and marketed it in the right way.
Is there a way you can stand out also with your services as an IT company? Because I see so many IT companies out there. To me, it looks kind of the same, but I'm not. I don't know a lot about IT companies.
It's very different what we do. We're not offering like SharePoint and cloud solutions and all that. That's Microsoft and Accenture, they're doing SAP solution stuff. We're not doing that. We don't have that one fits all solution. We have platforms that we customize and reuse and customize, but it's more complex and it's bigger than much of the IT solutions that we see and that we understand. But we have a lot of competitors doing a little bit of the same, but not spot on the same. So we are standing out quite a bit.
That's great. So what has been the biggest challenge you had to overcome in your career? And what have you learned from it?
I think I've had a lot of different challenges. I think trying to transform my career for being like a personal brand, everybody knew my name and they're still talking about me like a former radio host and entrepreneur, and that is not how I identify myself anymore. So creating moving your own brand and trying to tell a different story about your career, it can be pretty difficult when everybody knows who you are. So getting from being an entrepreneur and moving into corporate, that has been a big step. And I think I've been trying to tell a different story, and also moving away from social media on a personal level and trying not to spend so much time building my brand, but actually being grown up maybe in my career. I'm an adult now, so it's at a higher level, and I need to be more focused at that. So I think it's been just to get used to working in a different way, and also I think it's been a happy point also being an entrepreneur and being in an agency. You have to pitch and sell all the time, and you always are at a very high level. You never get into depth with the client in the same way you do when you get to the same office with the same login every day, and it's the same marketing you are working with. So I'm really getting into depth here at Netcompany, and I enjoy that. But it's also been like a different mindset. I had to get used to the fact that it is actually the same assignment waiting for me every day. And it's more long term. It doesn't change every 3 months. I have to put in some more patience. I think patience is a word.
What career do you enjoy more? Do you enjoy more the corporate side or the entrepreneurial side?
I think it's a mix, because here at Netcompany, I have been driving it in a very entrepreneurial sense. I've been driving the transformation of the entire marketing communication. And that has actually been I've been working pretty much as an entrepreneur inside a corporate.
Yeah, they call it entrepreneur. They always say intrapreneur, right?
Exactly. I think that's the impatience and the business understanding I'm bringing from the entrepreneurship I've been running helps me quite a bit here. So I think I have a little bit of both in me while I'm here, and now working with new markets and scaling them. That is building as well. I like to build, and that is what I'm doing at Netcompany: building brand, building business.
That's a good one. So what do you think is the biggest mistake companies are currently making in marketing? And I don't talk about just IT companies, I talk about companies in general.
I think it's 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 too inside out. A lot of the campaigns we see, so people tend to create campaigns that talk about their products instead of talking about what the products can do for the end user.
Yeah.
And it's very short term as well. It's very much like a 3 month campaign. Change it, change it, change. So it's very sporadic, and it's at such a like high level and never gets into depth. So I don't really know how is it going to affect me. How can I, as a user, get a, basically a better life from your product or your solutions? And I think we need to be more purpose driven and more human centric in our marketing. Campaigns. And I think that long term, always on campaign is very important to everybody, and figure out, for freak's sake, what is your purpose, and then market that as well. Because I think it's important to us as people that we know what do you stand for. And I think it's going to be more and more important. I think we see what happens with some of the very big companies coming out of China right now. We have Shine and Temu, huge brands exploding throughout the world. It's a global, like, giant success, and all the youngsters want to buy from Temu and Shine and stuff like that. But is it purpose-driven company? Is it something that would, are they aligned with my values as a person? No. Would I actually accept my kids buying something from these channels? No. So I need to know this. And then if I'm not choosing that, what would I like to choose instead? And then I think you can actually go out and make a difference as a company if you say, I believe in something else. I believe in this purpose. These are our values, and take it, push it out there. Of course, that's easier to us because we have a very strong purpose. But if you don't have one, I think it's going to be more difficult to have that long-term success.
That's a good one. I think, the biggest reason why people are buying Shine is because they have good designs and they're cheap, right? But the values, they don't align much with I think most of the people, if they would know where the clothes are manufactured. But yeah, that's a good point you're making. I think then if there's a internet sort of shitstorm, some brands like these can lose a lot of revenue in the short term, and maybe even in the long term then, if they don't change their image. But I also think that you made a good point before when you said that most companies are not talking about what the products can do for the customer, but just about the products. And I saw it a lot in the tech industry when I was analyzing the cyber industry, and I saw that there were just marketing the products as a whole, as you said before, and using so many difficult words that I didn't even understand as a person what they were talking about, right? They were writing long paragraphs of text with ugly designs on the websites. I think there's a big there's a big leap to jump in the tech industry to become very good in marketing. But on the other side, I think what do you think about the difficulty to sell cyber or tech products? Because I think there are a lot of companies out there which are making a ton of money, but their marketing doesn't even have to be on point because the market just needs it. What do you think about that?
I think it's difficult to us because if we have very complex IT solutions that we are selling, it's a very long sales process. It can take years sometimes to sell to a government or whatever. Where a product that is easy, accessible, if you're Microsoft and selling cloud solutions or whatever, everybody understands that you can market it without even explaining it, and you can just do a license fee or whatever. So it's easy buy. And I think that a big difference is in what kind of product you're buying and what kind of product you're pushing and marketing. Of course, not everybody can say what's in it for the end user. What kind of difference would this sneaker or this shoe make for you as an end user? You don't care, it's fashion. You hope that it's going to tell you something about your identity and your brand or whatever, but is it going to make a true difference for your life? No. So I think the industries differ a lot, how you can market and how fast marketing you can use. We are not going to sell a hugely complex IT solution because we market it on LinkedIn. That's never going to stand alone for us. Definitely. We're never going to sell a product, one of our complex products, because we did an editorial or push some paid media. It is so hugely complex, and we have to do the events do the in digital campaigns, do the meetings, the roundtables, the sales meetings. We have to attack, 360, and always work with go-to-market strategies, with the sales people, with the marketing people. It's all over. And I think what is really important to me is that when we are working in the way we are, marketing cannot stand alone, PR cannot stand alone, communication cannot stand alone, brand cannot stand alone, employer branding cannot stand alone. We need to build that into one unity, and that entire marketing communications unity will push and help and support the entire business. And that will be every time we are doing public affairs, doing PR, doing events, whatever, we have the same message, the same narrative, we're pushing the same purpose. So we are doing it at all levels and all sales levels. So I think that support team that marketing can actually be to the business is important, because we're never going to sell a product just for putting it on Instagram.
I understand. Just imagine you just started out with Netcompany, and there was one employee, and you were the CMO, right? And now you would need to start from scratch. You don't have any case studies, you don't have nothing. How would you start your marketing off, and what marketing activities would you focus on in order to become successful?
I think I would very much do that, some kind of brand awareness. I've been working with brand for so many years, and I think it's very important. I think you get the meetings and you get the time, the face time with the decision makers if they know your brand and know what you stand for. So I think that purpose and brand is very, very important. Why are you doing this as a company? Why is it important to you? What are you working with, and how is it going to change the world? Basically, I think it's like maybe a bit fluffy, but I would rather, as a customer, choose a company that is starting up and that has some sense of goal and purpose and values that I share, and I would invite them in for a talk and a chat if I can see myself in those values and that purpose. And then I think it's very important to get that proof of concept and proof of product as well. So get a strategic partner and get up and running and get something out there. I think it's important not just to be like the sandbox. And it's difficult selling something if you have no proof of concept. So get that up and running quite fast.
How would you get this, or what do you mean by strategic partnership?
Building something together.
Okay.
Then, I mean, as an entrepreneur, that's what you do. You start maybe under financing your products, and maybe you're actually giving something away in the beginning in order to get those cases that you can rely on in the future for your future sales. So maybe building something for and with a partner without charging a lot for it, but just investing those resources and that time in creating and building the product so you can use that for future sales.
I understand. And you would focus then, I mean, we're in B2B, right? You would focus on the big companies as well, or the big partners, and try to do something for the big companies, or wouldn't it really matter to you if it was a big company or a small one?
It wouldn't matter. If as a startup, if you're two people in a startup, I think it's difficult getting through the door with the big companies. So it depends on how good a salesman you are.
I understand. Which marketing activities do you think will have the greatest opportunities in the future?
I think it's a combination. I think it's difficult just taking one out. We use a little bit of everything. I think that's, the mix of it all will, the targeted brand awareness campaigns, the wins and go lives, the messaging, the PR and the public affairs, together with all the events, getting to know people in real life, stakeholder management, getting the relationships up and running, getting a strong network around your business. I think you can't stand alone with one of them.
That's a good thing. What is your best practice to build a strong network around your business, other than events, for example?
I think a lot of people are doing those 15-minute Teams calls and, get to meet somebody and just having those very short meetings on Teams instead of just doing the roundtables. But I think also getting through the door, thinking more politically, thinking more strategically, figuring out if are there any companies that have the same values and same purpose as us. Can we maybe take a meeting and talk about that? I think you have the potential new clients and the new business, that kind of relationships build. You have to build pipeline, of course, but you also need the network with other CEOs or other market leaders so you can stand together. And at some point, maybe they will become your new clients, but you can also push the same agenda on in the PR, in press and media. So you need to build different sort of relationships throughout the company.
How do you get into these 15-minute meetings? Do you just text somebody on LinkedIn, or how do you get to know these people?
I think it depends. For me, it depends if you have a good network in the beginning and if you have a name for yourself. Who are you representing? Are you representing a company that everybody knows? It's easier to get that meeting, isn't it? I think a lot of people are using appointment makers as well. A lot of companies are doing that. So it depends on how strong a brand you have in that market. If you can just hit people on LinkedIn and say, give me 15 minutes, a lot of people will just mute you, won't they?
Definitely.
If you're not a big name, you'll just never get a reply.
Definitely. But what's a good offer to them to say why you want a meeting? I mean, you don't want to come off salesy, right? You want to just get to know the person. What's a good purpose to meet a person, or would you say it just depends on the situation?
I think it depends on the situation, but I think politics and purpose as well. I mean, if you have that alignment throughout, how do you stand in politics? How do you stand in this in a more like geopolitical sense? Do we support the same vision? Can we talk about that? How can we support each other? This is there's so many different ways in.
I understand. So we just talked about my question that I would have next for you. My next this question would be, if you had to build a brand from scratch, which business model and which industry would you choose and why? We could get into it because we didn't talk about the industry and the business model. So if you want to answer that, let's do it.
Oh God, no! I've been as a former entrepreneur, I've been creating so many businesses. I can just say that I really enjoy working with IT and tech, and I would think that if I should build anything again, it would be in this industry, because I think there is a big impact. You can make a big impact with the right products in tech and IT, can't you? So getting to work with that is probably something I would love to stay with. Also, if I had to create something from scratch.
Would it be like a development company, a service company? Would you do a SaaS company? What type of tech company would you try to build?
Software, I think, would be my go-to. Yeah.
Like software development or software as software development?
Yeah.
Okay. How would you find? I mean, you would then also use an investor as well, right? To get some capital for your company.
Absolutely.
Would you immediately hire people for the company, or would you first off rely on freelancers for you to do it?
Oh, I would hire. I would probably hire on the most important positions. I think I was a single founder when I created my own companies, and it was very lonely to sit on, the entire responsibility as a single entrepreneur. I think as a starter, I would have a co-founder and an investor, and then I would probably very fast hire people for certain positions, like sales is important in the product development as well. So yeah.
Okay, I understand.
I rely on the energy from other people. This is why I like to have the leadership role, because I rely on the energy from the people working with me, and I'm also very good at delegating, and I need that, flow in my work stream. I'm not very good at getting everything done on my own because I'm not that detailed oriented. I need people that are good and specialized in all these industries and all these different positions. So yeah, I would definitely hire.
Definitely. And so
this is like a very vision, if I should create.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Dreaming a little bit.
What marketing steps would you use to build this brand? I mean, we already talked a little bit about it. We can also go further into it. Do you have some other ideas? What marketing steps you could use to build this brand?
No, I think what we've already touched upon it in the beginning of this talk, that I think my brand in Denmark, if I was starting a company in Denmark, it would be very easy for me to get a lot of press on it. And I think that's very important, to get press up and running, to see that the big media will support your vision and tell the story and get the narrative out and running, getting it out there. That's first and foremost. And then, of course, building very, very strong platforms to push from, so I can collect the data. And one thing is pushing something on LinkedIn or other social media platforms and getting the data from them. But you need some platform that you own, where you have the data collecting possibilities. And I think creating that would be very, very helpful. That's what we do here, and that's what most people do in marketing, is create a platform where you can push content from, but you can collect the data and use that for, targeting, for go-to-market strategies, for building CRM systems and all that. So I would create that platform and then push, everywhere.
You would push content everywhere. What type of content would you focus on?
Yeah, we do pretty much everything. The only thing that I'm stepping away from at the moment is podcast, because I think the podcast market is flooded at the moment. We're doing a lot of videos. We're doing a lot of graphics. We're doing a lot of text. We're doing so many different formats. And I think it's important that when you are met by something on social media, if you're scrolling through LinkedIn, sometimes, depending on the situation you're in, your eyes will meet something that's been written. Sometimes it's a link to something, and sometimes it's a video. So depending on you, are you driving a car? Are you listening to a podcast? Are you sitting in the subway? What are you doing, and what are you looking for? The content pieces should be varied, in varied formats, in order to attract more engagement and eyeballs.
That's a good one. That's a good one. How would you identify suitable employees for your company?
I use LinkedIn quite a bit. We have very strong recruitment teams here. They're very good at recruiting, but I tend, in marketing and in creative and in sales, I always get, throughout my network, and figure out who looks interesting, and do I know anyone that knows that person, and can I get a reference, and can I just take a coffee meeting with somebody? I think it's very much about energy and people meeting people. So one thing is the resume and the CV. Another thing is, how's your energy as a person, and can you use that experience you have that your CV shows, can you use that in the setting I'm looking for somebody in? And that is, it needs to click, doesn't it? You need to fit into that team.
That's a good one. And which mistake would you avoid in any case?
I'm probably going to make the same mistakes again, don't we all? I think coming back to the investors, I think it would be much more clever in the way I would attract investors, and attract the right investor, and do the due diligence much more thoroughly. And I think also being much more focused on one product and a very specific business model, instead of trying to do a lot of different things, and be very, very focused in your business. Have one product, push that, and then the portfolio can maybe be enhanced at a later time.
Yeah. So let's come to my last question. Is there a book you could recommend for the audience?
I never read any business career books. I'm very much into literature. I'm very much into just reading fictional literature. Yeah, like I said, I studied English, so I've been reading a lot of Shakespeare when I was younger, and I'm very much into that, and not into the career books and all that. So I have no answer for you.
That's fine as well. Lee, thank you for this interview. I enjoyed it a lot, and I wish you all the best for the future with Netcompany.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the talk.
You're welcome.